Hello friends, I cannot even realize how many videos about ADHD you can find on YouTube or any other social media, and I think it's absolutely great that people reveal this topic to the world. But even with this amount of information, we still have so many people who think that ADHD symptoms aren't real and that all people experience them sometimes. And in this video I don't want to explain what ADHD is and what's the difference between having ADHD sometimes and living with it every day. I was diagnosed with ADHD less than 1 year ago. I'm 35 years old and, as it often happens, I was totally shocked when I found the list of symptoms, passed multiple tests and was diagnosed by a doctor. My eyes opened to all those situations when I thought that something weird happened to me and why I was so bad in school and with all the boring tasks life brings to us. So all this year and just this year I learn, read, speak to other ADHDers and determine the patterns we all have in different ways. So let me know if you want to know my personal story about all these struggles and experiences I had during my life with undiagnosed ADHD. Let's prepare a big glass of water and dive into 10 things that will help you live better with your ADHD. Please be noticed that I'm not a medical specialist or advisor. All information shared on this channel represents my thoughts, my experience which I gained from books, researchers and other people who can themselves psychology professionals, coaches and influencers. So before taking any medical decisions, consult with your doctor. Thanks. Tip number 1. Do one thing at a time. You can find a lot of advice about breaking big tasks into small parts and accomplishing them one by one with just one task in a moment. Many of the people I followed because they share information about ADHD recommend using task planners and to-do lists for tracking tasks. I tried a lot of them. And I always skip my tracking process because I feel bored to open an app and do something there without any dopamine intake. So breaking down the project into small pieces doesn't work for me either. But what's really working is to make just one task. Just one little task you need to do right now in this exact moment. So if I need to edit a video for my client, I have many stages of this kind of project. Download the footage, prepare the project, fix audio, make color correction, cut off bad parts from the video, edit it, add animations and so on. And I could just create a task like finish video for Casey, but it's very hard for me to make it all at once. So approximately I need up to 8 hours for one video, and it's impossible to accomplish in 1 day for me. So I split the task into very small milestones. And as you can see, I do have a huge whiteboard here and I always have one task to do. So edit 5 minutes of video is a pretty affordable goal for me, and it needs around 2 hours with a small break for getting a glass of water. If I have more difficult task when I don't understand how much time I need for doing it, I still try to break down that task so I will finish something for the next 45 minutes before the next break. Why 45? I used to use Pomodoro timers with 45 minutes for work and 10 or 15 minutes for taking a break or doing something I want to do. Or let's say my brain wants to do. Like read something, comment on threads, or just go and make a protein shake drink because we need to have extra protein. So try to determine one task you need to do right now, and this task isn't necessarily the hardest one. You can start with something simple to accomplish. Just remember, it's only one task, and when you finish it, your brain will be satisfied with your success, even if it's just about loading dishes in the dishwasher. Next advice isn't so super cool as the next one, but it's what makes my life much easier. Keep your phone away from the bed. Yes, it's not only about your smartphone, it's about every distraction, but keeping your phone not near your sleeping place is a cool advice I got. We are dependent on our dopamine release system, and smartphones and social media scrolling are the reason for quick dopamine release. And when you teach yourself how to avoid using your phone before and right after sleep, you will save so much energy in terms of dopamine release. This is also the reason why ADHDers usually have bad experiences with gaming and drug addictions. And it's all about dopamine. So every time when you analyze why you are so obsessed with social media, chocolate, junk food, gaming, porn, gambling, drugs, anything that makes you so happy but has horrible outcomes, remember your dopamine release system. If and when you understand it, you will know how to act. But we will speak about avoiding distractions later in this video. And now let's speak a bit about ADHD meds. So take medications if it helps. ADHD medication is all about stimulation. Whether you choose methylphenidate or methamphetamine-based stimulants, they help. They narrow your focus, make you less distracted, and give you an opportunity to make boring tasks and goals more achievable. I will make a dedicated video about ADHD medication because it's a very interesting topic for me. So subscribe to my channel right now and click the bell notification button to be aware of my new videos. If you're interested in psychology, ADHD and human behaviors, you probably know or heard about the Healthy Gamer YouTube channel where Dr. K explains psychological topics in a very detailed way. So I got this information from him. And he said that ADHD meds have the same effects as therapy. The only difference is that if you stop taking medication, your symptoms come back much faster compared to psychotherapy and ADHD-related psychological help. But it's also important to know that medications work almost instantly. So if you have ADHD, you will feel the effect from medication in approximately 30 minutes, but you will not gain the same fast effect after just one therapy meeting or session. And it's not good or bad, it's just different approaches. And the best way is combining meds and therapy, in my opinion. Just try to find not a regular counselor or psychotherapist, but one who specializes in ADHD treatment. So I have my methylphenidate or Ritalin dose almost every day when I need to be more efficient with everyday working tasks. I don't take meds when I have a day off, as I can do or not do whatever I want. But on working days, ADHD meds really help me to be productive and not spread my attention to everything that might potentially distract me. What brings us to the next advice. Avoid distractions and analyze why they happen. I always insist on building self-awareness skills. In one of my past videos, I talked about the importance of the ability to recognize what feelings are coming into our body. Through meditation, we can teach our body to be aware of the first moment of feeling anxiety, stress, or other feelings. Because as we cannot control everything in our life, we can control how we react to some situations. So being able to take a small break for extra inhales, to launch an internal detective to investigate the upcoming mood changes, the first signs of anxiety, or even good feelings, is a good ability for our life. And analyzing the distractions that are shifting our attention to something we don't need to do, but so want to do, is also very important in case of dealing with ADHD. So let's build a situation where you need to work on some tasks. It doesn't require your immediate actions and deadlines are good. So you open a notepad or any other program where you need to work. You start doing this. 5, 10, 15 minutes. Then you decide to open your web browser. You see drop notifications, let's say latest news. You open one news, then another, then you are curious about some terms, so you open Wikipedia or ask ChatGPT about it. Then accidentally you realize that you don't know what something else means. And hello, ADHD brain just invested a few hours in self-education. All good, but your initial task isn't done. So what can we do with it? First, what I usually do, I taught myself to take a pause if I find something destructive. In my example, I would make a pause right before or after the moment when I open a new browser tab. I make a pause, like 5-10 seconds, and ask myself, does this action help me in the progress of executing the task I started? If you never did it before, your brain will find a lot of reasons to keep browsing the newsfeed or Wikipedia. But it is not what you actually want to do, because your brain needs more dopamine, and reading news, scrolling feeds, and talking to GPT is one of the ways to gain that dopamine. But you will lose it as fast as you gained it. So next time when you feel distracted, play the game with your brain and ask how important that distraction is for you. When I write scripts for my videos or make something very easily distractible, I turn off everything that can distract my attention. Working mode on phone and Mac, turned off all notifications. Just one black window with Notion where I write the script. White noise in my headphones and closed doors because my lovely cat is one of the biggest distractions during the working day. And only when I do that, I can be focused much better. So having ADHD doesn't only mean that we experience distractions and attention deficit all the time. We also have hyperfocus moments, and I will not be talking about it today. But the first aim to deal with distraction is to learn how to fake hyperfocus by avoiding all distractions. Does it make sense for you? Let me know in the comments below. And while we teach ourselves to avoid distractions and work in hyperfocus, let's reveal the next advice you need to follow to live a normal life with an ADHD brain. And that's learn how to delegate and relax. This isn't my strong ability, I still need to practice more, but we are not robots. We need to have some time for ourselves, some time for rest and relax. I also added the delegation part here because as soon as we are able to delegate some tasks, as soon we can take more time for relaxation. And it's not about starting a business, hiring people, or everything around this. It's all about building a system to handle your daily tasks to save some time for taking a break. As I told you about the Pomodoro timer, I used to work for 40-45 minutes, then I take a 10-15 minutes break. When I catch the hyperfocus state, I can miss 1 or 2 breaks, but then I will summarize all breaks in one big break and do something I really want. It's not always something very healthy, but I treat myself with these breaks and it helps. So delegating means using tools like ChatGPT for doing something you don't really like to do. For instance, I love to write. I can write a 10-page script just at once, but I hate editing my text. It's boring, there is no any novelty for my brain because I already wrote this. And I know what this text is about. So I use ChatGPT for checking my grammar by giving the right prompt for doing this. I also bought the Google Assistant speakers and put them in different spots at home, connected smart bulbs and devices. So if I need to turn off the light everywhere, or I just forgot to turn off the TV, I can say to my Google Assistant to switch it off and save my time and energy. Try it, it helps with ADHD. So being able to take a pause and relax yourself is also very cool. But you also need to understand the term relax well. Social media scrolling isn't the best way to take your brain into a relax mode. It seems like you are relaxing, but your brain does incredible work with analyzing everything you see. So for me, the best way to relax is sleeping, obviously, and reading. When I read, I focus on letters, words, sounds, meanings, and stories. And it gives my brain time to manage dopamine in a calm and slow situation. Taking pauses is good advice, but what about doing what you love? When I got into a discussion with one guy about doing what you want, he argued with me about our society. We cannot choose what we want to do, we don't understand how to live without a full-time job, so there is no stability when you are doing what you want. And he's right. If you're a neurotypical brain owner, you can easily switch between tasks. You can speak about work-life balance. You can come to the office at 9, go home at 5, play video games, do something with your friends and families. But it's not about those who have beautiful ADHD brains, because we weren't created to handle this work-life balance. We don't know how to manage tasks in dedicated time from 9 to 5. When I moved to Canada, I was obsessed with the idea of having a full-time job here, because I needed this Canadian experience for permanency. I applied for multiple jobs and finally I got one. I was working in an office for a year, and that year was the worst year in my life. Nothing about the team. There were also some guys with ADHD and they somehow handled it, I guess. But my brain, which has never worked in an office environment, was totally disappointed with the idea of doing things in that working time window. I couldn't finish simple tasks because I just wasn't interested in them. Yes, sometimes I got into crazy states, finished everything very fast and cool, but in most cases I came home and felt absolutely destroyed because I had no idea why this system doesn't have options for people with attention deficit disorders. It was my personal story. I know that there are many companies that don't require their employees to be at the office all the time. They just have tasks they need to be accomplished on time, and I feel so respectful toward those companies. But my experience was different. So what does it mean to do what you love? First of all, from my perspective, the world needs to be more aware of ADHD and other brain disorders. Unfortunately, even if we know that ADHD and ADD are the most researched diseases, we still can't convince our parents that many things that happened to us in childhood are related to our neurodivergent brain. And it's not bad or good, we just have another structure and activity of some parts of our brains. And when this world understands that there are so many people around the globe who needs to build into the system, everything will change. Because we all know what superpower ADHD brainers have, and why many famous and very rich business people also have ADHD. And if you also have this thing in your brain but you are not feeling good with the current system, just check the list of millionaires and billionaires who also have ADHD and think, how did they achieve it? Just again, take a break and accept the fact that they are doing what they really love, and they use their brain's superpower to achieve everything in life. So we are not doomed. We just need to use our own operational system that not always fits with the current world. But that operation system is actually working better, just find drivers. And for better understanding how we can operate our brain, let's speak about learning yourself. I think many people who got diagnosed with ADHD or other neurodivergent disorders are kinda proud of themselves because they got enough bravery to accept the fact of having it. They know where to dig to learn more about themselves. So when you live for 35 years with stuttering and believe that your stuttering is the main reason why you didn't do well in school, why you didn't apply to a college, why you still didn't find a good job or didn't start a business, you're feeling like nothing will change because you already know why. But then accidentally you watch YouTube and algorithm gives you some videos with unknown 4 letters, ADHD. You start to watch it, then you binge into scientific research, then you find a test and self-diagnosing. Then you find a local psychiatrist and get an official diagnosis of ADHD and a prescription for stimulants. You get your first pill, you go to the street, and you realize that the outside environment actually isn't as loud as it was before you take that pill. How is it even possible to go out of your apartment and hear just those sounds which you focus on? When I went for a walk after my first pill, it was something incredible for me. Let me explain. Usually when I go for a walk, I hear everything, every single sound, every single branch crunch, every single dog that's barking somewhere who knows where. Everything. When I got that pill, I could hear the same sounds, but I didn't feel that I needed to pay attention to everything around me. Just look at the tree and hear that branch. Look at the road and hear that car. Not everything you don't pay attention to is coming into your attention zone. And on stimulants, I began to understand why people get into car accidents, because without pills, my ADHD brain can handle attention in every situation on the road. With my pills, I keep focus just on things that I want to keep in focus. That's why I don't drive with pills, because it seems more dangerous to me. So I hope you got the point. To live a more happy ADHD life, you need to learn your brain, your body. You need to treat it well. You need to live in a healthy environment, do sport, eat healthy food, and more and more. It's not a very complicated topic, so let's skip it at this point and switch to another important topic I will mention many times in my next videos. Practice meditation and chanting. I practice meditation for more than 6 years now. I started because I like to sit in silence with closed eyes, focus on my breath, not keep any thoughts in my head, just sit there for 15 or 20 minutes, and overall I like it. It's hard for me to explain the exact experience because I already forgot how to live without meditation, but shout out to Dr. K from Healthy Gamer YouTube channel for another type of meditation that I practice every day now, and it's Chanting. Let's start by acknowledging that I noticed Chanting is very related to religious things, but we will speak about it in the context of how the ADHD brain can benefit from this kind of meditation. So in very simple words, Chanting is a meditation where you repeat a deep Om sound and especially feel the vibration that appear during this process. Starting with the deep O sound, you can feel vibration in your stomach area. Then you slowly close your mouth into a ooh sound, and the vibration comes to your lungs and neck area. Then you close your mouth with the sound, and that vibration comes through your throat to your brain zone. And your task is to follow this vibration. The second crucial thing while you do chanting is repeats. I meditate for 20 minutes every day. Time flies crazy in that moment, and after these 20 minutes something actually happens. You feel yourself better, and it's hard to explain until you try. There are no cons, so you can try doing this right now and you will feel something interesting inside your brain and body. If you want to know more about meditation techniques I passed through all these years of experience, let me know in the comments below, and also share your experience if you want to share something. The next advice is pretty related to self-awareness, and it's don't blame yourself. I had a conversation with one guy a few days ago, and he told me that when he cannot be focused on the current task, he just claps his cheeks and says something like, "Gather and do this, you moron." It works for him. But it also works for many people because we usually blame and compare ourselves with others, but we never treat ourselves. When was the last time you told yourself how strongly you love the reflection in the mirror? How often do you look at you and blame yourself for the extra weight you have on your belly, for a pimple on your face, for that mistake you made yesterday at the party? We blame the reflection all the time. We are not good enough. We always want to reach something unreachable, not because we can't, but because we think we can't. People with ADHD blame themselves even more. We used to blame ourselves for every mistake, for every not being good enough moment, because the system where we were raised wasn't ready for neurodivergent kids. You're a smart guy, you can do whatever you want to do, but you just need to try more. And we tried more. We tried to be a better version for the system, for parents. We spent 4 hours about the book, but weren't able to concentrate and keep attention to it. We weren't able to remember the poems because our working memory isn't developed, because a huge part of our brain is different. And we blamed ourselves. But we must learn, we must be aware of our brain and its functioning. And as soon as you start to read, ask, learn, watch, discuss, share your experience with the world, as soon you will get stories of other people who are also struggling with the same issues, the same life situations, and the same constant blaming moments when we think that we are different. And we are different, not worse, not better, just another operation system inside our brain. Does it sound clear? Stop blaming yourself, it will not help in any way. What brings us to the next point to deal with. Learn self-compassion. Yes, self-compassion and compassion, all these Buddhism terms which we are avoiding all the time. Not just those who have ADHD brains, but most people. We don't understand how to be compassionate to ourselves. And before speaking about self-compassion, let's just understand what compassion is. For example, we all have friends or people who sometimes call us, ask for help, or just tell us some stories and situations. So imagine one of those people calls you today. He talks about a problem at his job and he also got sick. So he isn't able to go fishing next week with you, but he is very sorry for it. What will you answer? If you're a kind person, and I believe you are, you will tell him that everything is good and he doesn't need to blame himself so much. You will go fishing next time. You will wish him to get well. Maybe give some advice. But now imagine that you are that person who got sick and called a friend because you feel so stressed about everything that's happening with you. You complain about your health. You blame yourself because you feel like you let a man down and destroyed all the plans you had. How does this situation feel to you? Write in the comments below. I think you can say something like, I don't do this, I love myself. But if you're watching this video until this moment, you are not okay. You need to know how to feel compassion for yourself. You are not guilty that you got sick. You are not even guilty if you don't want to go fishing because you just don't want to go, that's it. Speak to yourself. My amazing tool is to just send a voicemail to yourself. Take your partner's phone and call yourself. Leave a voice message exactly how you'd leave it for your friend who is experiencing some difficulties. Be that friend for yourself. When I called myself the first time, I was crying so hard because I was so jealous of myself. I experienced that feeling of being a victim. But with time and practice, you will switch this feeling of jealousy to a feeling of being grateful to yourself. Because you are always allowed to feel sick. Be angry or sad. You might have a bad mood. You can get sunburned because you forgot to take sunscreen to the beach that day. You can lose that bowling game. You can make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, they're just small mistakes that are not going to affect your life. Do not be so hard on yourself. There is no sense in it. So leave yourself a message like your best friends would leave for you. So here are 10 tips, life hacks, advice, whatever you call them, which helped me with my ADHD. Share this video with anyone who also struggles with ADHD. I hope it helps. We also need to remember that ADHD isn't something bad we have. But if we don't do anything to handle some situations, we can, and in most cases we will experience pretty bad depression. Because unfortunately, if you already have ADHD, eventually you will have depression. And to avoid this, you just need to have as many tools as possible to adjust your processes and build awareness of everything that's happening in your body and brain. Thank you for watching this video. As always, like and subscribe. I'm Dmitry and these were my thoughts. See you next time and please, love yourself.